Hey guys, it's Bella and welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to another 12 days of Christmas. I'm doing a mystery video every day for 12 days until Christmas. So I really hope that you guys are enjoying these videos. So today we're going to be talking about the case of Latricia White. Latricia White was born on the 30th of November in 1955 in Travis County, Texas. She was a 38-year-old nurse and a mother of two, and she worked at the gastroenterology wing of the Central Texas Medical Center in San Marcos. She had recently divorced her husband and the father of her children in November of 1933, but they had been separated for some time before the divorce was official. And she was currently living in an apartment with her boyfriend, Lee Wackerhagen, in Lockhart, Texas. Lee was a trucker and he was known as his friends by the nickname Dub. I have absolutely no idea why his nickname was Dub, but he also had a child named Chance Wackerhagen with his ex-wife, Gay Williams. They had divorced in 1990. Again, him also had another child together, and she had full custody of the two children, but occasionally she would let Chance go and stay with Lee and Latricia for a few days at a time. Now, Lee was not a nice guy. He was abusive, he was controlling, he was jealous, and he and Latricia fought like cats and dogs. They fought all the time because he was irrationally jealous and would get mad at her for the smallest things. Unfortunately, Chance also got caught in the middle of this whenever he stayed with Latricia and Lee, and his abuse is the whole reason that his first marriage ended, because he was extremely abusive to Gay and her first child, which is why her first child's son didn't go and visit Lee and Latricia, only Chance did. Gay actually said herself that she was terrified of him and that when she met him, she saw that he was a good man, but when she left him, she was absolutely terrified of him. So I guess that's just who he was as a person. He was just not a nice person, and his abuse carried on from his relationship with Gay to his relationship with Latricia. So anyway, on December 17th of 1933, Lee's 9-year-old son Chance went to stay with Latricia and Lee for a few days, but he was going to go back to his mother's house for Christmas. Things were mostly fine until the 23rd of December when they got into this massive, just like explosive fight, because Chance had left the kitchen sink on and it overflowed, and then Latricia yelled at Chance, and then Lee and her got into this huge fight. Like, it was so big that Lee actually packed his bags and left, and it was just not a good time. It didn't really last that long. I guess Lee cooled off. That's what happens in toxic relationships, and he was back for Christmas. They spent Christmas together and ended up having just a really good time. Chance ended up calling Gay. He said that he was having such a fun time. He was really excited about all the gifts that they had given him, and he wanted to stay a little while longer with his dad. So Gay said, yep, no problem, as long as you call me and organize another time that you'll be coming home. Then on the 26th of December, Latricia, Chance, and Lee were all seen eating at a restaurant, having a really nice time. It looked like they were just enjoying each other's company and enjoying the holidays. And that was actually the last time that they were ever seen. So the next day, the 27th of December, was actually a Monday. So Latricia was due back at work, and she never showed up, and she never called in to say that she wasn't coming. So her workers were confused and they grew concerned, because that was so unlike Latricia. She was doing really well in her job. She was very well regarded in her job, and she liked doing what she did. So if she didn't show up, which was rare, she would always call to say that she was sick or that she wasn't able to come into work. She would never just ditch work, not have an excuse why. At the same time, she hadn't spoken to her dad, Jack, who was also super worried about her because, I mean, he hadn't heard from her firstly, but also she wasn't at work. So he was stressing a little bit, and he decided to go to her house and see what was going on, if something was wrong, if she was really sick, or what was happening. Because obviously she also wasn't answering his calls. You know, he tried to call her, she wasn't getting back to him. So anyway, he gets to her apartment. Everything seemed normal. There was nothing out of place, no signs of forced entry, nothing had been moved around or looked out of the ordinary. It was all very normal. So he looked around a little bit because he couldn't find Latricia anywhere, and then he got to the bedroom, which is unfortunately where he discovered Latricia's body surrounded by blood. It was so heartbreaking to hear how he reacted. I mean, I can't imagine, how your dad would react in a situation like that. It would be so traumatizing and heartbreaking, and he was like holding her and calling her name, just trying to get her to wake up, but she was unfortunately dead. She'd actually been dead for about a day by the time Jack got there, and she had been shot 6 times in her sleep with a .22 caliber weapon. There were no signs of a struggle, as I mentioned, no signs of forced entry, but one of probably the scariest, I would class it as scary, aspects of this whole case is that in her blood was the footstep or the footprint of a child, and that footprint belonged to Chance Wackerhagen, which meant that he either witnessed the entire thing and he is just 9 years old, or that if he didn't witness her actually being killed, he at least saw her in that state. So Chance and Dub were nowhere to be found. So detectives' first instincts were to find them. I mean, they were missing, and Dub was the lead suspect at the time, because first of all, he's missing, which is an indication that he's on the run. Second of all, Chance's footstep was in the blood. And third of all of the reports coming in from family and friends were saying that he was this abusive, manipulating, controlling, jealous person. So he was, of course, who detectives were going to look at first, and the fact that he was nowhere to be found just implicated him even more. Police actually issued a warrant for his arrest because they were so certain that he was guilty. Now, not only were police searching for Dub because they thought that he was the murder suspect, but also it was pretty clear, or it was assumed, that he had Chance with him. So the fact that he had done this to Latricia, there's no telling what he was going to do to Chance, if he was going to harm him. The fact that he had even kidnapped him was scary enough. This is a 9-year-old boy. 3 days after Latricia's body was found, on the 30th of December, police caught their first lead. They found Dub's Ford pickup on the side of the road about 40 kilometers away from Latricia's house in a high crime area in Austin, Texas. The truck had already been abandoned, but inside they found Dub's checkbook, they found his wallet, they found his hunting rifle, which hadn't been fired at all. And then in the trunk of the car, they found his toolbox, a spare tire, and a bunch of presents, some that hadn't even been opened. And on the presents was blood. It wasn't enough blood that somebody was fatally injured or that somebody had died, but it was enough blood that there was obviously some sort of injury. So immediately they thought it was Latricia's blood. So they tested it, took it back, and it came back and it wasn't Latricia's blood. They also couldn't, because DNA testing wasn't that great back then, couldn't determine conclusively if it belonged, who it belonged to. They couldn't say if it belonged to Chance or Dub. They couldn't tell who it belonged to. So basically it could have been anybody and someone totally unsuspecting. So now, according to Sheriff Mike Batting, who was from the Caldwell Sheriff's Department, there were 2 options. Either Dub had murdered Latricia and kidnapped his son Chance, or they had fallen victim to the same person that had murdered Latricia. In early 1994, I just realized I've been saying the date wrong this entire time. I think I've been saying 1933, but it's 1993. Anyway, in early 1994, O.P. Williams, who is Chance's maternal grandfather, so on Gay's side, receives a phone call. The call came from a young boy who said, help me," and then he could hear the phone being snatched out of the young boy's hand and being hung up in like a really harsh manner. Now, OP maintains and is absolutely sure or absolutely certain that this was Chance and it couldn't have been anybody else, but the rest of his family thinks thinks that it wasn't Chance and that it might have been some sort of hoax. And that is basically where the trail goes cold. It is the last information there is on that case. There has been no sightings, no information, no leads on Chance and Dub. They are still missing. So there's only two theories. There is the theory that it was Dub who killed Latricia and kidnapped Chance, which is a possibility considering, Gay had custody. The only problem with that is that Gay said that he would never hurt Chance, that he would never do something like this. Yes, he is abusive, but he loves that kid and he would never do anything to put him in harm's way. That's why he left Latricia's house when she yelled at him, why they got into that huge argument in the first place. He had no prior criminal record and all of his friends were totally shocked. They said he would never do something like that. To be fair, his friends had no idea that he was even abusive. That shocked them as well, but they knew how much he loved Chance. And considering Latricia was so generous with having custody and allowing him to see Chance all the time, it seems unlikely that he would kidnap him. There was never any indication, never any signs. And I actually saw Gay made a comment recently saying that she doesn't believe that he kidnapped Chance. She doesn't believe that he murdered Latricia and she doesn't think that he would do anything like that. So Dub's family all believe that he is a victim of foul play of whoever murdered Latricia, but Latricia's side of the family believes that Dub murdered her and then possibly, I guess, kidnapped Chance. But that is everything. I would love to know what you guys think happened, if you think there are any more theories, or if you think that Dub murdered Latricia and kidnapped Chance, or if you think that they were a victim as well. I honestly think that if he was kidnapped, he would have been spotted somewhere. I don't know. I understand that he's abusive, but it just seems a little far-fetched to me of him to do that. They were really happy and content the last time they were spotted at the restaurant, and then all of a sudden he's gone. His truck is abandoned, his wallet is in there, his checkbook is in there, so how is he gonna pay for this new life? They were never found again, and I just feel like they would have been spotted or something would have happened, some indication that he was still out there if he was. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. If I've missed any information, please leave it in the comments down below, and hopefully I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.